Welcome to Flashpoints. I'm Jeff Pegues, joined as usual by CBS News Senior National Security Analyst Juan Zarate.
Jeff, great to see you.
Let's talk about this raid in northern Iraq. U.S. Special Forces working with Kurdish forces to carry out a raid and rescue hostages. Is this a change in approach by the U.S.?
It's hard to tell, Jeff, because we have to learn more information about the actual raid, who the hostages are, but it is unusual that you have U.S. Special Operations Forces operating to rescue hostages. This suggests these are high-value hostages. We're embedding more neatly with the Kurdish forces and are willing to risk a bit further our own lives on the ground. And unfortunately, we have news that we may have lost one Special Operations commando as a part of this raid.
And when you talk about high-value hostages, what does that mean? It
may be that what we have is a collection of Western hostages being held by ISIS, perhaps not just locals like the Yazidi women, for example, that have been part of this the sexual slavery and hostage ring that ISIS runs. But it could be that there are Westerners that are being held, and the U.S. wanted to help execute the raid. Keep in mind, U.S. Special Forces are the best in the world at hostage rescue. They've rescued people all around the world, from Southeast Asia to the Middle East to the Western Hemisphere. And so they do it the best in the world. And so if they're engaged, it means it's something serious, and we wanted to help the Kurds.
But they really haven't been called into action for missions like this too often in recent years, right?
Not since the U.S. left Iraq in 2011. We really lost our footprint, the ability to do this. Before that, they were engaged in numerous raids, continuous raids, and so they were well schooled and well oiled in terms of doing this efficiently. And so they've regained some of that capacity on the ground. We saw, Jeff, keep in mind this year, a raid into Syria by U.S. Special Operations Forces to go after an ISIS operative named Abu Sayyaf, who was running some of the hostage rings, was important to the financial network. Keep in mind, he was killed, his wife was taken into custody, and a treasure trove of documents were obtained as a result of that raid.
We talk about the successes when it comes to missions like this, but in this case, there has been the death of an American, as you noted. These are really difficult, risky options.
Dangerous, risky, and I think we have to keep in mind that though we've seen many successes, these are hard to execute, and especially in very difficult environments where the environment's controlled by the enemy. And that's really what we're asking our special operations units to do in these circumstances: go into hostile territory and execute, and frankly get the hostages out alive, which is the most difficult part of this. This also adds to the complexity of the debate as to what we do next, Jeff. There's been a lot of calls for more boots on the ground, more embedding of special operations forces on the front lines. This is an example of what that looks like and what some of the risks may be.
And this is a difficult call for any administration, really.
That's right, and you look at not only the re-injection of forces on the ground in Iraq, as we've seen here, and a question for the next administration: do you put more emphasis on ground troops or special operations forces? And then the question of what are we going to do in Afghanistan? The president recently saying we're going to keep troops on the ground beyond his administration. That all signals that you have a platform and a question for the next administration, Republican or Democrat. What do you do on the ground?
And Libya is also a place to watch.
Libya and other parts of the world that are really chaotic and full of militant activity, where you have a question: do we dislodge the groups now, or does the problem get worse?
That's right. For Juan Zarate, I'm Jeff Pegues, and that is Flashpoints.